All right, all right. Sorry about that intro. Let's skip it. All right, hey, welcome to the Pat Grace Real Estate Show. Kiss My Assets. This is where I open up my network of 25 years and bring on all my family, my friends, people I know who are just absolutely crushing it in the real estate world. And we're going to talk about how to build 100,000 portfolio, $100,000 a month type portfolios today. Everybody that I have on this show is crushing it. And tonight we've got some real good guys that are buying tons of properties. Everybody on this show tonight is closing over 100 deals a month, and a year. And so we're going to bring on people, actual guests, people in my network, people on my team that I've used over the years to generate multiple streams of income, and how I created this $60 million portfolio right here in Kansas City. Today's show is packed. We're going to unload the clip tonight. Tons of nuggets. There are going to be comments and questions that you can ask, and you can go online and put in your questions, and we'll answer those at the end. We're going to be talking tonight with people who are finding and buying tons of properties, underwrites, the formulas that they use. And we're going to give you a little snapshot of the Kansas City market, because that's where I'm at, and the rental stats for the Kansas City market. Today, I got 4 guests and myself all doing over 100 deals a year. So in 2025, we're doing probably 500 to 700 homes with these guests that we're going to have on the show tonight. Everybody's saying the same thing right now. There's no inventory. But I got 5 people today that are proving that wrong. Every single week, these guys are closing deals. And these aren't gurus. These are really operators. Closing hundreds of deals a year while the rest of the market complains. We're finding homes nobody else sees. We're writing offers that stick, turning leads into profits while others scroll down Zillow thinking the game's over. So today we're breaking down exactly how they do it, how they find the off-market stuff, how they underwrite so fast, and how they know when to walk away from a deal, when to pounce. Because the truth is, the deals don't disappear. They just hide from lazy investors. And so we're bringing the best people on today. We're going to give you the playbook, and you can copy, you can listen, but we want you to know there's people actually doing this stuff. So here on the Pat Gray Show, let's find some deals. Let's talk to some real operators and see what they're doing. We're going to be giving away a mentorship later on in the course or later on in the show. So let's talk about the KC market and jump into that real quick. So I got this data straight from MLS, and this is the September 2025 data. And we're looking at, on the left side, we're looking at September from 2024 to September 2025. And on the right side is the year-to-date numbers. And you can see everything is positive from last year. So while everybody's complaining about the market, the numbers say otherwise. It's actually up. And so last September, we only closed 2,900 deals. This September, we closed almost 3,300. That's up 13%. That's a big number in Kansas City. And the average sale price went up from 364 to 371. That's almost a 2% increase. And that's pretty good as well. The days on market have also went up. So in September last year, it was only 36 days. This year, it's 39 days. We're still getting 97% of our list price. So 97 houses out of 100 are getting their list price here in Kansas City, which is really good. Pending sales went down to 2936. So that's almost a 3% decrease, which is good for us. And inventory is up now, 8,500. So you can see it's kind of a buyer's market right now. As a seller of a lot of homes, I can tell you right now, I am waiting longer for my homes to sell. And I am, getting not, I guess I'm not getting full price offers on some of my stuff. And so, I feel like the buyers are getting some strength in this market. And the one big stat that I wanted to look at was the year-to-date numbers from September 2024 to September 2025. We've got more homes. I guess our average sale price is up here in Kansas City. So our prices are still going up. Let's take a look at some rent. So here's some rental snapshots for all you buy and hold guys out there that are kind of like me. I do a lot of buy and hold. The rental demand is steady year over year. I'm still getting 3 to 4%. Every time I get a lease renewal, I'm raising my rents 3 to 4%, and it's sticking. People are staying. Metro-wide, the vacancy is 8.5%, and that comes from HUD Q4. We got strong absorption and limited supply here in Kansas City, so we're not overbuilt like, maybe Nashville or Arizona or Florida. Some of these cities, they have way too much apartments and way too much stuff. Their markets are actually tanking when it comes to rental, where we're not filling that here in Kansas City. So I just kind of looked at Clay County and Jackson County on the Missouri side, and I looked at Wyandotte and Johnson County on the Kansas side. And your average rent in Clay County, where majority of my holdings are $1,900 to $2,500 a month. We've got about 200 to 250 active rentals in Clay County right now. So that's kind of my competition when when I'm going to rent something. In Jackson County, the average rent's about $1,400 to $1,700 a month. Jackson County got 1,000 single family homes and almost 5,000 units to rent when it comes to apartments. So you can see there's a lot of inventory out there in Jackson County right now. Wyandotte County, 1,400 to 1,800. They only have 100 houses out there in Wyandotte County. I'm telling you, everybody's sleeping on this place. This might be one of the best places to be buying houses right now with everything they got going on with the development side and all this big commercial coming over there. People should be looking at Wyandotte County, Kansas. Johnson County is 2,000 to 3,000. This is probably one of the richest counties in the United States per capita. But, you've got 300 to 350 homes. You almost got 700 homes there for rent. So there's a lot of stuff sitting out there. Northland, you got premium rents. Jackson County, it's probably got the best value and the most volume, the most homes still for rent there. Wyandotte County, it's a little bit softer on the rent, but still strong ROI and good for entry-level investors. Johnson County remains high on the income, and it also has the lowest vacancy. At this point, I really think our home, like in my portfolio of a couple hundred homes right now, I only have like 3 or 4 houses available right now. Everybody's staying. I might be having 1 to 2 move outs a month, maybe. That's it. And so my stuff's usually with 30 days. And so things are moving here when it comes to the rent market. I'm having really good success. We've got probably a 98, 99% occupancy rate. And so we're doing really well here in Kansas City. I just kind of wanted to go over my 4 sponsors that helped me with all of this. And we'll jump into this interview and these 4 guys that I got coming on the show tonight. They're absolute killers. But right here, we've got United Real Estate. This is one of my sponsors. And the reason you guys need to be with United Real Estate is you get 100% commission. It's a $550 per file fee, and you've got $65 a month. The tech stack is phenomenal. You get all kinds of technology. They got 3 brokers. You got full service, and you get 100% commission from your first deal. So if you're sitting here making 50% or 70%, you come over today, you get a 30% raise, 50% raise. And we've got education, we've got leads. And so check out United Real Estate. Go to joinunitedrealestateKansasCity.com, or you can contact Marta Grace, which is my wife, and you can contact her and she can get you all set up. Real Buy Box is a software that I'm using. My man Lawrence Buck developed this software. It's super slick, super easy to use. I can put my address in. I can get all the data for the house right there. He's got the after repair value number dialed in to where you can. I trust it. A lot of times I don't trust the after repair value number, but I do with Real Buy Box. You can write your contracts from here. You can skip trace from here. I use this tool all the time for skip tracing. So this is a real slick system. You can hit this QR code, get your free little sign up, and go check this place out. Go check this out. This is really good for any wholesaler, any sort of investor that's buying distressed or any sort of property you need to figure out information on. This is really good for you. We've got the Pat Grace Mentorship Program. We're rolling this out next month. We're actually finalizing all the slides and finalizing the online portion of it. We're going to have a group coaching, and then we're going to have just private mentorship for people here in Kansas City who want to invest, but you feel stuck, you feel scared, you feel nervous. We got you covered. We got 25 years of creating and managing these portfolios here in Kansas City. I'm going to Kansas City Cash Closings is a company that we own as well. This is the company that's buying all of the distressed properties. I'll let you guys listen to this, and then I'll be back here shortly in about 30 seconds, and we'll be bringing on the guests and knocking this thing out. You can go ahead and play that.
And avoid the hassle of open houses, realtor fees, and endless paperwork. I'm Pat Grace with Kansas City Cash Closings, and I understand how stressful selling a house can be. That's why I offer a quick, no-hassle solution. We buy houses in any condition. No need to fix anything or deal with constant showings. We can close in as little as a week or on your timeline. Skip the long process and get a fair cash offer today. No realtor fee, no inspections, no appraisal, and I'll even pay your closing costs. And I have a sale leaseback program where I can close in 7 to 10 days, get you some cash real quick, and let you stay in the house and pay month-to-month rent until you are ready to leave. Click the button below, complete the short form, and receive your fair, no obligation cash offer. Click it now.
That's the generic commercial I made. Hey, check this out. Guest intro. Ladies and gentlemen, live from the heart of Kansas City, it's time for the main event of the evening. In the blue corner, I've got the skeptics shouting, there's no inventory. I can't find shit to buy. There's nothing out there. And in the red corner, I've got 5 absolute fucking killers, deal-crushing machines who find properties while everyone else is crying in their Zillow search bars. These aren't gurus, folks. These are real-life operators closing hundreds of deals, buying houses so fast the for sale signs don't even have time to dry. They're finding homes nobody else can see, writing offers that land harder than a left hook and flipping profits faster than you can say under contract. Tonight, they're stepping into the Pat Grace Real Estate ring to reveal their secret combos, lead generation jabs, underwriting uppercuts, and knockout systems that make the lazy investors tap out. So buckle up, because by the end of this fight, you'll walk away with your own deal finding playbook, ready to crush it in Kansas City or anywhere else across America. Let's get ready to rumble for this real estate. Check this out. Guess one, I'm thrilled to welcome a remarkable guest, a former CPA turned entrepreneur who has built an incredible legacy in finance and real estate with over 120 million in assets, 40 million in revenue, all achieved without a single dollar of outside capital. He's a true example of what's possible with vision and discipline and strategy. Welcome, Casey Quinn. He's an inspiring entrepreneur, investor, business leader who's redefining what it means to build wealth from the ground up. Casey's my man from our boardroom mastermind, and I want to welcome Casey to the show.
What's up, Pat? Glad to be here, brother. This is awesome.
I appreciate you, Casey. Today, I also got a powerhouse in the Kansas City real estate market. This guy knows how to find, negotiate, close deals with precision. You probably see him all over Facebook. He's just absolutely killing it with his coaching and his mentorship. They specialize in sourcing both short-term and long-term real estate opportunities across Kansas City. He's got quick flips, pre-foreclosures, auction, off-market properties, while our long-term portfolio is built from probate and tax delinquents. Please welcome Troy Kearns. He's an expert in finding these hidden gems and creating value through smart, system-driven real estate investing. Big Troy, welcome to the show, my man. I appreciate you coming. Here. I appreciate you, my brother. And guest number 3, self-made success story in real estate and entrepreneurship. He began his career at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I guess this guy was slanging rentals for cars. And he's at 23 years old. He just bought his first investment property for 20 grand. And by 2021, he built a portfolio of 100 rental homes. Today, he owns over 300 properties ranging from single family homes and multifamily homes to luxury Airbnbs. He also runs a property management and construction team. Ricardo Alvarez, pretty young guy. I don't see him on the screen. Maybe you guys can call him, see if you can get him on there. And then our guest number 4 is my man Joe Williams right here in Kansas City. He's in my group. We got a little group in Kansas City where we get a bunch of killers together and we eat dinner every month. And Joe Williams is in that group with me. He started in the toughest economic times in 2007. While everybody was stepping away, he stepped up and came into the market. And after successfully selling his foundation company, he shifted his focus entirely to real estate, and since then he's bought more than 1,500 homes. He's founded KC House Magic, a family-operated company that now completes over 200 homes a year right here in Kansas City. And so welcome Joe Williams, one of my guys and one of my good friends here in Kansas City. I just am glad you guys came to the show, and welcome to the show, fellas. Great to have you all here. And here's how today's conversation is going to work. So I've got 5 key segments designed to walk our audience through the full playbook from mindset to mastery. So our first question, segment 1, is going to be more about going to be more about origin and mindset. We're going to start by humanizing each of you guys, talking to you guys, making the customers feel confident, or the watchers feel confident that you guys know what you're doing. And in segment 2, we're going to talk about lead gen and finding inventory. The questions will be all directed to that. We're going to open up the playbook and what channels are working, what you're creating, the opportunities when others say there's no inventory. Segment 3, the questions are going to be about analyzing and offering. So we're going to move to questions with metrics, tools, decision frameworks, things you guys use to pull the trigger, with confidence. Segment 4, we're going to talk about scaling and systems, having you guys, how you guys delegate tasks, create repeatable systems, keeping your guys' pipelines full. Segment 5 is going to be lessons and advice, your best takeaways, tactical lessons, mistakes that you guys have learned from. And segment 6 will just be a rapid fire, close with some quick hitting questions to reveal your personalities and have some fun before we wrap. So I appreciate you guys coming on. Let's jump on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a question and I'm going to have each of you guys answer so we kind of all stay engaged and not one person is going on for 5-10 minutes. So let's just let's talk about who you are, what your market is, and the volume of deals that you're doing right now. Casey, let's start with you, brother.
That's a great way to start. On mute. My fault, fellas. My fault, everybody. But yeah, I'll keep it quick. Got a lot of talent here. Unmute your mics, guys, so that you don't do what I just did. Out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania market, I've got about 120 million, close to 1,000 doors. We started primarily, we've done it over the last 5 years, all BRRRR model investment, and then in the multifamily value add. We've got about 450 single family homes that we own. The rest is multi. We manage an extra 400 or so single family homes for other local investors. And then primarily what we're doing today is doing a ton of lending. We're lending close to 15 deals a month right now. We found that, we're not wholesaling a ton. We decided that lending is a lot better for us. It's actually a lot easier on our end, given my financial background. And then we're a little less on the BRRRR side. We closed 94 singles last year, a 98 unit and some others, and doing a little bit less on the acquisition side ourselves and a little bit of transition to lending. We find we're able to do more deals successfully and really guarantee ourselves a return instead of the BRRRR, which has gotten a little bit tougher out in our market this year.
And all your properties in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, all of our portfolios in Pennsylvania. I have several investments outside of Pennsylvania, but I do all of that with a partner, partners in their local markets. I'm a big local market guy. I believe in it, just like you're in Kansas City. You live there and you invest there. I'm a big fan of investing locally myself as well.
I hear some feedback on somebody. I don't know whose side that is. Okay. Hey, so let's talk about the market and the average deal volume. Troy, you up next, brother.
What's up, man? So I happened to stumble into Kansas City watching Monday Night Football and watching Pat Mahomes play the Colts in 2019, looking for a new market. Had already been in Indianapolis, saw that market run away from me, was previously invested in Mississippi since 2011, where I own about a little over 100 single-family residences. I'm opposite of BRRRR. I have very little debt on most of my assets because I almost went bankrupt when I first started. And so I played scared and didn't leverage myself to the hilt. Came out here 2019, started buying very shortly thereafter, late part of 2019, early part of 2020. Bought over 100 houses very quickly. COVID came. I went all in. I moved my family out here, built my house out here in Platte County, just north of you here in Platte County, right by the airport. And know a lot of you guys here. Joe's a great guy as well. And, this is just a great market overall. I think that if you're watching this, wherever you're watching it, and you're not doing business in Kansas City, you're missing out. I've already seen at least a 3 to 4X on my initial investments. I'd made a lot of mistakes in this market coming in, KC tenants, that whole situation, but I'm still 3 to 4X on my initial capital investment for buying crappy houses off of East of 71. Pretty much everything I have, besides a rental that I got stuck with from a flip that I didn't buy, is East of 71. I really much dominate that category where a lot of people don't like to stay. I'm your C- D+ buyer. I do sprinkle in some apartment buildings in there. I've got a large skyscraper downtown Kansas City, a 31 unit apartment building down by off Armour, which is a short-term rental primarily. And I've got many different properties all over the country, but mostly single-family houses in Mississippi and in Kansas City, Missouri, and some commercial properties in Las Vegas, New Orleans, and some other places like that. I'd love to help anybody out. Real estate's changed my life. I never would be doing anything if I didn't invest in real estate. I think that's why everybody's here, is that like real estate has really changed my life, truly. So
awesome, Troy. I appreciate you. Ricardo, how about you talk to us about your market and kind of your average deal volume right now and what you got going on?
Thank you, Pat. Happy to be here, brother. Thanks for the invite. Man, so I'm based out of Little Rock, Arkansas. I stumbled into real estate about 10 years ago. As I mentioned from my bio, purchased my first property for $20K. If I knew now what I knew back then, I wouldn't have gotten into real estate. That first $20,000 property was a full flip down to the studs, electrical, plumbing, you name it. But that's how you learn, right? Just getting in the groove of things and just kind of jumping and not thinking about it. Since then, we've been able to grow our portfolio. Today, we're managing more than 300 properties, single family, commercial, multifamily. We just launched some really nice luxury Airbnbs in Hot Springs, which is a very touristic place here in Hot Springs, Arkansas. From a volume standpoint, acquisition standpoint, we're doing 8 to 10 deals a month. And we do everything in-house, both from in-house management and construction management as well.
Nice. Of those, on those properties, the 300 you're managing, how many of them you own?
All of them. We don't have any partners. It's just me and my wife.
Nice. How old are you, brother?
I'm 34. I feel like I'm 80, but I'm 34.
Ricardo looked like he's 22. Look at this guy.
Hey, thank you. I'll take that.
Awesome, man. Hey, Joe Williams, talk to us, bud. I know you in Kansas City. This is one of my good friends right here. He's absolutely killing it. Tell him kind of what you do and the volume size you got going on and what you doing.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I've been working in Kansas City now for 23 years. I got my license when I turned 20 years old and thought I was going to be a real estate agent or something like that. And that's kind of how I got into it. I had some influences growing up, like my mother and uncle and people in my life that I would watch them go buy a house in Old Leawood for $160,000 and turn around and sell it to somebody else for $240,000. And I started seeing that at a young age and kind of realized that that's what I wanted to do. So I went into real estate pretty much right out of high school. And, I being that far back, I went through '08. I went through a recession. I started a contracting company because of it, to kind of adapt to the market. And since then, I've picked up where I buy and sell. Annually, I buy between 100 to 120 homes a year. I usually am going to work in A and B neighborhoods for the most part. I may leak into a C neighborhood if it's a home run or if it's something that's juicy. For the most part, my biggest thing is low days on market. Everybody who ever asks me anything, I always say, if it's got low days on market, I'll be after it, because my whole goal in this is to turn and burn. And so I'm buying, and whatever exit strategy gets me out the fastest is the one I go with. Even in today's market, I've bought 94 homes this year and I've sold 82 so far. My margins are a little bit slimmer, but I've been very fortunate to grow up in this city and learn this market the way I have, to where I can pull the trigger without necessarily walking into a house, or, as long as I feel comfortable with the situation, I move forward. And so I've got a lot of homes under my belt. When it comes down to it, it's been like Troy was saying, real estate has been a tremendous business for me, and obviously all of us here, but I'm a guy who, I didn't graduate high school. I didn't step foot into college. All I did is just learn how to buy and sell. And fortunately enough for me, that's been enough to get me by and provide for my family. So that's how I'm rolling.
All right. That's awesome, Joe. So to recap, we've got Ricardo with 300 homes that he owns. We got Casey Quinn. Casey, how many homes you own?
I own about 450 homes, about 950 total units.
Damn. Killing it. And then Joe Williams, what? You just flipping. You're just turning and burning, huh?
Yeah.
Turning and burning. Troy?
About 230, 40 single families and about 350 total unit count.
Nice. All right. So we got a good mix here. Me and my wife own 200 homes in Kansas City, and we've been, just big buy and hold investors, and then we might flip, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 homes this year. But, I do enjoy the buy and hold. And for those of you guys who don't know, when you keep these homes and when you hold on to them, and you hold on to them as long as I have, because I've been in this game now for 25 years. There's homes that I've owned for 15 years now, and I'm in them for nothing, and I'm catching $2,000 a month in rent. You really don't need to work anymore. And at this point, it almost, it's like we're kind of in this different stage of life, me and my wife. And so we're relaxing a lot. We're traveling a lot. We've got this great portfolio that's kicking off a couple $100,000 a month in rent. And so I do agree with the buy and hold strategy. I do like that strategy. And at the same time, I enjoy what Joe does. I enjoy the flips and making the 30, 40 grand a pop real quick. And so those are really good strategies. And I'm glad you guys are here. Casey, real quick, how did you find your first deal? How did you first start finding deals? And what was your first big win when you started figuring things out?
Yeah, it's a good question on the big win. I'll delay that to see if I can't come up with something nice, right? I think massive action every day is always my wins, and just keep moving and not getting too high or too low. My first ever deal, right? So going back to 2019 is actually when I became an entrepreneur and a real estate investor, and I did that because I got fired from my job 10 months prior. I took in a CFO job at a local real estate company in Pittsburgh. And the guy and I did not get along. So I only lasted about 10 months till he kicked me to the curb.
Yep.
The really cool thing was I learned how to invest in real estate while I was there and kind of fixing up what he had going on in his back office. And local lead, my partner and I found a local lead literally on the exact same street that the guy's headquarters was on. He had about 600 or so units in his portfolio at the time. And when he fired me, it was a decision that says, I'm going to grow bigger than this guy as fast as I possibly can. That was, come hell or high water, right? That was going to be my vengeance and nothing else. And we bought a $40,000 home, financed it 100% hard money, private capital, right? Financed it we got an appraisal. We put nothing into it, to be honest, and got an appraisal right after that at 65, got our money off. It got long-term debt on it. It rented at $1,200 a month in a Section 8 home. And ironically enough, still to this day, that's our very first ever tenant still lives in that home today for us. I think the rent's up to about $1,450 a month. I think we refinanced on it maybe 2 or 3 years later and pulled out another 30 or 40 grand. I think it's worth about 140,000 or so right now. Cash flowing around, I think $1,400 a month. So that was our first deal, May 21st of 2019.
Nice. Yeah, and you still own that home, and one thing we can talk about is like the strategy of kind of refinancing, and you've been around enough to see all the rent increases and how much these properties go up in value in terms of appreciation, and then how much they go up in value in terms of rent. And so the properties that we're buying right now, I don't know, in Kansas City, I'm buying stuff right now at 200 grand, 225. And I feel like the conversation's going to be like, fuck, Troy, remember that show we was on when we was buying those homes for 200 grand back in Kansas City, and now they're 500 grand or 600. That's what's going to be happening 10 years from now, because
100%.
When you think about it, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I started buying homes up north, me and my wife would argue about buying a property for $60,000, $70,000 in the Northland, and I remember one story. My wife went to the auction to buy the mower, the grass mower, and she ended up buying the house, and she bought the house for $70,000, and I was all pissed off because I thought she should have got it for 60. And now we still own that house, and that house is probably 250 grand right now. And
it brings up a really good point that you mentioned there, right? It's like you're spot on. I think we all agree that the reality of it is it's going to go up, right? Prices of the homes always go up over time. It's just a matter of what market and how fast it happens. But to your point right there, you just hit the nail on the head. It's about being able to make it pencil today.
Right.
I tell everybody we're not really in the real estate industry unless you're and you're buying things free and clear, right? And have them free and clear. We're really in the finance industry, right? And real estate is our vehicle or our asset in order to do that, right? At least for me, when I got fired and had absolutely no money, right? We kind of started with nothing. And so I've always said I'm in the finance game. And I think that house, like I said, we probably refinanced it 2 or 3 times already since we've owned it in 6 or 7 years. It's just kind of the way the market went, especially post-COVID when the market took off. I think our market rose about 40% in 2 years post-COVID with the rates when they were that low for so long. Right. And so we're playing a finance game and continue to maximize our cash through cash out refinances in the Burr method.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do a lot of that too. I do a lot of line of credit stuff where I put up my portfolio and I got lines against almost everything. Hey, Troy, when the market tightened and things got stiff, what kind of mental shifts did you make to keep buying?
Since there was no mental shift, I've just always bought. I haven't stopped. I haven't stopped buying since 2009. Okay, so to go back, I want to answer the question that you gave to Casey, which I thought was a great one. I'm going to go back a little bit further. I started buying in 2002. I bought my first house hacked it, condo, 112,000. Second house, live and fix and flip, 189,000, rent in Washington. And then I figured I got everything figured out. So I go in to buy out of state in Vegas right before the market collapsed. I watched those 2 investments go from 310 to that 310,000 go to 120 negatively cash flowing $1,300 a month. The $184,000 condo went to $45,000 a month, and I'm losing $2,500 a month per asset, almost bankrupt. I got out of the market, held on to those deals, never let them go for 17 years. I held on to those properties. I watched the market rebound, as Casey said. Okay, I should have still held on to them, but I wanted to dump them as soon as I could. So I watched the market go implode to where those houses were selling for so cheap that I'm losing $2,500 a month. I started selling a lot of houses. I sold 643 houses in 2011. So I started buying the houses for cash because I was scared of all the debt I took on. Okay. So once I got to even Steven at the $2,500, I've never stopped. Okay. Now there's been some shifts. I've had to borrow some money here and there when things happen, but I've just always bought to insulate myself from the bad decisions I've made it as an investor, and I still continue to make. So I always try to upgrade with a big asset. Like right now I'm learning the skyscraper model. Like I'm like, fuck, what am I doing here? You know? So I always try to make a big move every couple of years, and I buy the small assets to insulate myself from the bad decisions that I can make or the moves that I'm going to make. Like I really would love to do a casino. Yeah. And so that's my goal. I'm gonna put that.
I like that. That's smart. So you're taking on one big project, and then you're using the small ones that you know to kind of insulate. I like that, dude. That's pretty smart.
Yeah.
Hey, Ricardo.
Yep.
If you could go back to your first year, what do you wish you knew about finding deals?
Man, if I could go back in time, it's all about the networking. I think you guys could agree with me that most of the deals that we get are from our local networks, right? Wholesalers, realtors, brokers. The moment you step outside of your boundaries, right, and start reaching out to people and letting them know that you're active in the market, next time they have something on the table, they're going to text you, call you, or get in contact with you about it. And that's one thing it just took me a long time to realize. I wish I would have realized that earlier. This year we're on track to purchase probably 150 assets, combination of single family, multifamily, you name it. And I cannot tell you day in, day out, I wake up and I have 3 or 4 text messages from people. Hey, I have this deal. I have this deal. Because number one, they know I'm looking. But number two, they know we can close. So if I could go back all over again, just make sure you're networking as much as you can.
Hey, Joe, I'm going to shift to lead gen and finding inventory. And this is probably some of the best questions we're going to have right here. But Joe, tell me right now, for you, what's your number one lead source? You direct to seller, you MLS, you doing wholesalers? How you finding all your deals, Joe?
I mean, to be really honest with you, I'm probably the one that you shouldn't ask that question, because I mean,
you're the laziest one, huh?
No, but here's the thing. My budget is zero. All right. And I'm seeing 30 deals, 50 deals a fucking week, And so, I mean, really what it comes down to for me is I've established really good relationships with people in this city. I close, I do what I'm supposed to do. I don't give them anything to sweat about from the time I say yes to the time I say, let's close, I mean, at the end of the day, and I also buy a lot of stuff sight unseen, which helps me. So my leads are coming from wholesalers, coming from realtors, coming from the average everybody, because I've been doing this for so long that now everybody in my life kind of knows that that's what I do. So I have sources coming in all over the place, and so I kind of pick and choose. But like I said, right now with this market, I'm being a little more selective because I'm trying to stay in the traditional neighborhoods and trying to stay in the low days on market areas, all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, like it's my community, it's my network that really is my lead generation, which is all the relationships I've established over the years. So that's kind of my thing.
I got you. The reason I asked you that is because I know you're a big wholesale guy. Like you buy a lot of properties from wholesalers.
Yep.
You buy a lot of properties from real estate agents. Troy, where do you find most of your deals right now? What's your best lead source right now?
It has been probably 90% of my career has been the MLS. Nice. I make a massive amount of offers. The ones that you always hit the best home runs on are the off market, and those are the ones that stick in your head. But they're few and far between. Consistently, I find if I make a better effort at the MLS, I'll knock down deals all day long. They're out there. People are motivated to sell, and you can chase the other deals. We do cold calling, we do SMS, we do Meta, we do all the stuff to get those home runs. But my consistent lead flow is MLS.
So you know what that is? How many offers are you putting in, say, a week?
Man, it just depends on what my appetite is for. But I mean, if I'm hungry, I might be. My thing is, I just screenshot like Redfin and I send it to an agent, and I'll just say, offer this, offer this, offer this. It's a really basic approach, and I have a couple agents that keeps spreadsheets for me, and I just keep firing offers. So maybe if I'm in a good thing, I might put 20 offers a week. If I'm slow, I might put 3 to 5.
So you put 20 offers a week. On 20 offers a week, how much you closing? What's the close rate on that?
Probably get 1 to 2 of those. If I'm going low, I'll get 1 to 2 of those. And then it just depends if I'm sniper shooting, actually it's probably less than 1 to 2. It's probably 0 to 1. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's probably 0 to 1. And it's between Kansas City and Mississippi. And Mississippi, I have not, like in Kansas City right now. I don't know about you guys flipping, but I have noticed the buyers. I haven't seen buyers this picky since 2014.
For sure.
So
I agree.
I'm doing home inspections on my house. The last time I did that was in New Orleans, because I've literally, the buyers are just super picky. They're super nervous. They're super scared. And so I'm just trying to be careful with days on market, what I buy, and if it doesn't sell in 3 months, I put a renter and move on.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of what I do too, the dual exit. You know what I love about Kansas City, and I don't know about these other markets, but I'm in a dual exit market. So, if I don't sell the house within 60 days, I'm sticking a tenant in there and I'm turning around and putting a line of credit on it and moving forward. Like, I'm not really sticking around too much after 60 days on these on the MLS. Hey, Casey, where you're at, what's your biggest lead source right now?
Yeah, mailers for sure. Mailers have always been our biggest lead source. I would tell you, and even all the coaching students that I have, it's absolutely the best lead source is mailers. And then a lot of people are doing PPL, PPC. And then for us too, our brand, we went really hard, really early on and all through the years as being kind of like our company's called City Life Residential. And we're named after the largest single-family property holder in the country, Equity. And, we did it for a reason, right, to really build that local brand. We wanted to have the big brand. There was no big players, no big hedge funds in Pittsburgh. Very limited because of the inventory that we have is super old. And a lot of those hedge funds want this 1950, 70 older. And a lot of our stuff's built in the 30s. And so we're like, well, let's be them, right? Let's be them with the local feel and have the local presence. So we push brand really hard, really early. So we get a lot of deals that come our way just because of our brand and our in-house team. Right? We've never really bought off the MLS. I think for a little bit of time when it was probably about a 6-month period over the last 6 years where we were heavy on the MLS, but that was never really our thing. It was always off market, through mailers, and then just people, wholesalers, other folks bringing us deals has always been our play.
I like that. Hey, I got a question for you. So the mailers, like when you mail to the same people, like how do you keep your list current? And like how many different pieces of mail? Like tell the audience exactly kind of how you're doing it and what you're doing it so that they don't get stale.
I mean, it's honestly what we do, and we started early on. We actually, I recommend 2 separate companies that do this. But the one REI Print Mail is a company to throw out a plug. I don't get anything for that, but they're really, really incredibly good at what they do. I
use them as well.
Yeah, and they put the campaigns together for you. They also have their own data set, their own data sources, their own CRM that you can use for their mailers in their own call center. So they pretty much almost have a done for you service. Right. And then what they do is they put you on almost like a 6-week, depending on how many weeks, 6-week, 8-week drip, 4-week drip campaign, where they're hitting them with different types of mailers along the way. And it's a volume game, right? To your point of how do you stay up to date on it, it's a volume game, right? So you're pulling a big list depending on what you want. You're working with a coach that they have inside of their shop, right? And it's pulling the data. You're telling them specifically what you want. And then you're just playing a volume game, right? A lot of times you just give them a budget. So a lot of my students early on, what we say is, look, let's start with either a $3,000 or a $5,000 budget to get to kind of warm it up, get it rocking and rolling. And then once we start really learning the KPIs, it's right between, right, a 1.5% conversion rate's extremely strong. If you get into twos, you're doing really well, but you can pretty much expect almost like a 1% response rate, right? Then obviously you got to close a portion of those. So it's a volume game through and through, and you've got to push a ton of mailers. The more you can spend, the more likely it is that you're going to create a return because it's just more cracks at the bat.
Ricardo, you on the mute, but tell me what your number one lead source is right now, and what you're doing to find deals besides just having a presence in the market.
Man, I would say top brokers in the state. I've made a point to make sure I'm in close touch with top brokers in the state. They get a lot of deals, not only from customers, their own agents, but also wholesalers. So that's been working great for us. When they have people looking, having houses right now that are not in the best shape to put in the market, they reach out to someone like me because they just know we buy as is and close quickly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What is let me ask you this, Ricardo. What is something that people say, you know what, that shit doesn't work anymore, but it actually does? You know what I mean? This happens to me a lot. Like, people like, man, that shit don't work. And it, like, you know what? For me, one thing would be what Troy just said with MLS. And like, people are always like, that shit doesn't work. But then it does. Like, when you fire off, and I always think like, man, it's like fishing, right? You can fish with one pole, or you can fish with 20 poles. And if you got 20 offers out there, fuck, you're gonna hit something. And so, what do you think is one of those things where everyone's like, I don't know about that, and it kind of works for you?
Man, you're asking the wrong person. I see opportunity in everything. That's my problem. Number one. Number two, I tell you this, is we potentially have some, people who are starting in the industry and, are looking for the correct answers. There's no correct answer. You just got to know your numbers, so underwrite appropriately. Number two, understand the construction piece of it. Pat, I know you're really good at that too, but I think that's when my portfolio really started growing, not only on the purchasing side of things, but how do you manage the rehab, right? Like, what are you paying for a paint job? What are you paying for cords? What are you paying for all those things? So I think it's more on, the underwriting and the construction piece of it to make those deals work.
I understand that. I could see that. Like, so what you're saying is really kind of knowing the construction rehab, which is really good point that you brought up, because like, I can walk into a house and within like 20 minutes, I know, man, this is a $25,000 remodel, or this is a $30,000 remodel. And even though I don't have everything broken down exactly, I've been in enough homes where I can just walk out and know I can get that house done for 30 grand, and I might get it done for 28. I might get it done for 32, whatever the number is. But, I kind of have a really good idea of, and so what you're saying is really kind of getting to know your crews, who can do work for what price, and your material costs is something that most new investors need to learn and need to study. And how you study that is by really just going to Home Depot and walking around. I mean, for me, I remember when I was here, and even now, like, we still go to Home Depot and we just kind of walk the aisles and just kind of see what things are going for right now, because, man, almost every 6 months it changes. And honestly, shit's going up. Like, the disposal these days is not the same as the disposal was. I mean, we used to buy disposals for $40. Now they're like 90. And so you got to kind of know these prices and know what plumbers are working for. So I can agree with that. Do any of you guys have something that you guys would think, oh, you know what? They say that doesn't work, but it works like a gem for you?
Well, what I hear it all the time, still to this day, right? Like, you hear people, all these new ways to find opportunities, these new ways to digitally market, right? No one looks at their mail anymore. Well, guess what? Mailers is still, in my opinion, the number one lead generation source, aside from the MLS or mass offers from wholesalers, et cetera, right? But if you want to take it into your own hands and be responsible for your own lead generation at the end of the day, I still think mailers is absolutely the best, where most people say it doesn't work because it is the most expensive. You've got to let it run. You do have ebbs and flows where it's working really well and not. But if you stay connected to it and you continue to push through it, it still continues to be the number one, right? Because mostly still to this day, a lot of the older folks that need to be selling their homes are still looking at their mail, still making those calls, setting it on their table and making that phone call when they're ready. So to me, I think mailers is one of those lost arts that a lot of people think, oh, it just doesn't work because it's, mailers and, digital media and all these different ways to find deals now. That still is, in my opinion, the best that there is.
I agree with you. And you know what? I feel like this, out of all the ways that I market with social media, using realtors, using wholesalers, where I make the biggest margin is from my mailers.
Yep.
And when you're mailing letters and when you're mailing things to people who are 60 and they just want to cash out, they just want out, and their homes look like they're 62. And so it's like the best deal. I do agree with you. And I feel like I make the most margin off of the mailers. The wholesalers, to me, are the easiest, right? They just put the deals in your lap, but you pay the margin for that, right? You're going to pay some 10, 20 grand fee and this and that, but they make it real easy for me. And so, let me see this.
Pat, the other thing that I would tell you too with those houses a lot of times is, generally speaking, they usually keep up with the bones of the house, and it's quote unquote grandmaed out. So you're doing a large cosmetic flip, which creates a lot less risk than what you and Ricardo were talking about earlier, which is the construction side of it. In my opinion, a lot of times we're just doing big cosmetic flips.
Oh yeah, 100%.
On our burrs, and you don't need to do these crazy redesigns of the homes. You don't need to replace the furnace and all these things, because they usually generally take care of the home. It's just, to your point, it's got carpet from 40 years ago, and the walls have still got the wallpaper on it, and you just got to do a big cosmetic flip.
You're right on that. And, I do agree with that. And so, like, when I do stuff with REI print mail and this and that, like, I feel like from my KPIs, and those of you who are watching, where a KPI is a key performance indicator. And so I think everybody on this show has some way of tracking their numbers and where they make the most money, how many mailers they're sending out, how many calls they're getting. From the calls they're getting, how many conversions, those are called KPIs. So tracking that is next level. And if you're not tracking your KPIs and you're not tracking your spend and what you're getting from your spend and this and that, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation that we need to be talking about. But real quick, Casey, you touched on this earlier. How many leads or conversions do you need to get one deal?
It's such a loaded question, Pat, right? Like, it really depends on the market you're in, how much money you're spending, what type of lead, the quality of lead it is. I mentioned, right, a good mailer campaign is going to get you a 1% conversion rate. And so, thinking about the math there, right, for every 100 you send, you're going to get a lead.
Yeah.
Multiply that up, and then obviously you've got to go to the appointment and or the virtual appointment and get a deal closed. And then if you're burring it, flipping it, whatever, right? And so it's extremely different. What I would tell you though is I just want to quickly, and then maybe someone else can have has their KPIs in front of them. I don't. But the one thing I did want to quickly mention around the KPIs to really put this home for everybody is, especially for you guys out there in Kansas City coming off a nice little win the other day here. Right? Like, imagine playing football without keeping score.
Right.
You know what I mean? The guys are just out there running around, throwing the football, Patty Mahomes talking shit on everybody, right? Like, imagine if there wasn't a scoreboard. And so to your point, KPIs is your scoreboard, and you absolutely have to be tracking everything and have it really dialed into your point. So I just wanted to add that point because it's incredibly important as a CPA and having a lot of clients. So many people aren't tracking their KPIs, and then they come with problems where they really don't know how to solve it and they don't have clarity because they're not looking at the exact numbers to understand how they need to make decisions in their own business.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, I'm going to transition now, and we're going to go to analyzing and offering. And I just kind of want to show like how these professionals are moving from lead to offer. And you said something earlier that you might not even go look at the homes and you're throwing in some offers. So kind of walk me through, Joe, your underwriting process and how you decide if a deal is worth chasing or letting go.
Well, it's funny you asked that. I I just bought a house sight unseen while we've been on here. So I'll give you a rundown on what I just bought. So anyway, wholesaler sent me a deal in Lawrence, Kansas, 3-bed, 1.5 bath, raised ranch, 1-car garage. Lawrence is like an extension of Johnson County. And I know anything I can get there with 3-bed and more than 1 bath, I'm going to be in a traditional floor plan. I'm going to be in good shape to resell that for probably 250 plus, somewhere in that range, as long as it's on the right side of Lawrence, which
What'd you
this
buy
one
it
is.
for?
I got it for 123, 250. My counter was 123. He countered me back at 123, 250. It was your guest last week
Oh,
who hooked me up with this deal.
sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, really, what it comes down to for me is, I've been doing this shit so long, and I've seen, every different floor plan there is out there. And when it comes to traditional floor plans, low days on market, I look at major issues. My main questions: foundation, roof. And sometimes I'll ask sewer, but I can get sewers done for next to nothing, man. I mean, so I'm not really ever really worried about that issue. But my main thing is foundations and roofs. My background is foundations, so I feel pretty comfortable, but I got to know if it's settling or if the floors are uneven. Floors are uneven, I usually bail out because there's really nothing you can do to recover them. So in my case, when I'm trying to unload as fast as I can, issues like that are unfixable don't work. Now, if it was one of you guys that was buying it and putting a renter in there, nobody gives a shit if the floors are level, because the house, I always tell people, I go, no matter how long, we think this issue is with this house is bothering us, that house has been there long before us and it'll be there long after us, and it'll continue to serve its purpose from family to family, no matter if it's a renter or an homeowner or whatever it is. But imperfections and stuff, there's certain ones I try to shy away from. So that's kind of, and obviously fucked up floor plans, busy streets, shit like that.
Yeah.
Liquor store.
What are you using, Joe, when you underwrite most properties as a rehab number on average in
So
Kansas City?
So I'm ballparking everything,
Right.
and here's one of the things, and it comes to you have another line of questioning that has to do with like how our teams are set up. Well, I'm set up where I have my own contractors on staff on payroll, and so I have 3 or 4 crews that I'm able to send out, and they're out working on properties for me actively, where they're either, they have skill sets where they can run anything from large machinery to they can fix drywall to they can repair sewer lines and do that kind of stuff. And so obviously foundation repair falls under that umbrella as well. So I have a really good crew of people that help me. So it makes it very easy for me to feel comfortable about getting into cosmetic rehabs and shit like that. So when I look at things, I'm looking at it a broad ballpark. So I'm looking like, okay, this is going to cost me somewhere between 15 to 25 grand to get this thing done. Kind of like what you were talking about. I mean, once you've done this so long and you've got that experience and you know exactly that product you're buying as far as that square footage and whatever it is, you can feel pretty comfortable about your numbers, and you just got to add a little percentage with time, because everything is changing, like you said. So I feel like, a lot of times I'll say it's going to be 15 grand and it ends up being 25, that's just the way it is these days. But that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is a lot of ballpark, a lot of, I've been doing it a long time. So a lot of it's feel.
Troy, let me ask you this, Troy. What tools or formulas are you using to estimate ARV and rehab costs real quick so that you can get these offers in and secure deals?
I used to use the MLS when I had my license, but I don't have an MLS anymore. So I use Redfin. I think their data is so top notch. The comping formula on Redfin will pretty much give me every single comp that I need. And I can make a quick decision on the ARV very quickly on what it's going to be worth when I sell it up. And then, like you talk about, for the actual repair that comes from doing, and just a quick formula would be, if it's a cosmetic, it's between 20 and 30 bucks a square foot. And then you just add the majors on top of that. Needs a new roof, $6,000 to $10,000. Needs a new sewer line, $25,000 to $5,000. Needs a new furnace, $7,000 to $10,000. So I use a cosmetic number plus whatever it might need.
What the big capital improvements are.
Correct.
Yeah. And so what I want to get across to a lot of these people out there is like these big players and these guys that are doing things, like we're really ballparking a lot of stuff. We're not sitting here walking into every house, doing scope of work, getting everything down to the penny. Like you really don't have time for that because there's players on this show right now that ain't doing that. And we're just kind of looking at stuff. Joe's not even going to the house. He just bought he looks like he's at a restaurant and he just bought something. And so
Backyard, baby.
This is your competition right here. And so kind of getting to a place where you feel comfortable. And let me tell you this, when I put in an offer, I always put in an offer with a 7-day due diligence period, and I can close in 10 days. And so within those 7 days, I have an opportunity to go look at the house, to make sure my numbers are right, to make sure I can firm everything up so that I'm not sitting here in an upside down position. And so just by getting your offer accepted is step one. Firming up your offer and renegotiating your offer and stuff, that's step two. So getting in the ball game on step one is where a lot of new investors need to pull the trigger and not be afraid, as long as you have some sort of due diligence period or some sort of out where you can, get out of the contract, get your earnest money back. That's really important. Let me ask you this though, Ricardo, how do you handle bidding wars or, seller expectations in 2025 right now? Do you have a secret? Do you have something that you're doing when it comes to multiple offers, highest and best, stuff like that?
Man, it just depends on the approach of what you're going to do with the property after you acquire, right? So if it's going to be a long-term rental, after I underwrite my numbers, I'm going to have a specific number that the property should cash flow, right? After putting our maintenance and property management. So it's based on the numbers. Number two, one thing we are having to do a lot with those properties that we know are good, that somebody potentially wants to bid us out by $10,000, $20,000, we're just staying as a backup offer. In fact, today, I had a realtor call me. We put a backup offer on a property that sold the first day it went on the market, and somebody overpaid like $20,000. To what you mentioned, they did their walkthrough and they don't have the crews to remodel the property. Their rehab estimate came back like at $60,000. So she called me. We walked the property. We renegotiated the offer, and I think we're going to be buying that one today.
That's smart, dude. I never even thought about that. So you're just taking a backup offer position. That's really good, Ricardo. I like that, dude. That's smart. I never even thought about that.
I do that on every deal, and I think that's a great thing. The other thing that I was going to add, because I think that's a great idea, is that one thing that new investors can do, and I can't really do this, and you can't do this, but I think this is going to help a lot of new investors. I always tell people, tell your story. You're doing it for your family. And whether you're buying that house for your family and flipping it, it's still for your family. So tell your story about who you are, what your plans are, and a story's going to sell versus a low offer. So they might accept your offer. Like me, I can't go say, hey, I'm trying to get richer or something like that. But like for a new investor can say, I'm looking to do this for my family.
Yeah. That's funny. I did that on when I was buying the lots in Satellite Beach and in Melbourne Beach. I put a picture of my family and everything on the letter. I sent the letter to every empty lot on the ocean.
And it worked.
And it worked. I got 2 lots like that. And so
awesome.
I know that situation works, Troy. Let me ask you this, Casey. When do you offer full price and when do you walk?
Yeah, I would never offer full price pretty much ever, right? I'll tell you this. I mean, I shouldn't say never. Creative finance, and I've gotten pretty good at creative finance. I don't typically waste time on single family homes ever with creative finance offers, but we've done multifamily. Actually, the largest deal I've ever bought, which is a 98 unit property, we bought for $7.5 million. We were actually able to get that for 95% seller financed. Still under market value, but generally speaking, we're between 60 and 70% of the as is value as it sits. That's a lot of times where we like to be on our offers.
Yeah.
and if they don't want the money, then they don't want the money and we move on. We don't typically negotiate on that or come up. We've got to run our numbers and they've got to make sense. And so we've got to have the value proposition inside of our deals. Right. And so that's what it is. Multifamily, a little bit different because there's a lot more value add opportunity across, 30 doors, 40 doors, all in one. Right. You send your crew in, you can renovate it over time. It's still cash flowing because X amount of units are still occupied. So I think the multifamily value add game is pretty different. But as far as the single family BRRRR model, flip model, whatever you're trying to do, we're typically, never offering full price.
I want to ask you guys, I want a one-word answer. I'm gonna move this thing to scaling and systems and teams. All right. And I want a one-word answer here. So what systems or hires, Troy, have you made that changed your business the most? One word.
Executive assistant.
Oh, I like it. What about you, Joe? One word. Biggest hire.
All right, for me, it's actually, I'd say probably my office manager, just like he mentioned. I call it an office manager. He says executive assistant. Same thing. I mean, that's my main thing.
Okay, what about you, Casey?
I really, really want to give 2 words, but I'll give one. It's my executive assistant, but just for fun, because you probably know my right hand, TJ Bencho, who runs all of business development and sales and everything else for us, is an incredible human being, not a role, but executive assistant for sure as well.
For sure. What about you, Ricardo? Ricardo, you there?
Oh, I lost you for a second. Asset manager for me definitely has to be the one.
Oh, you're talking about property management?
Asset manager.
Okay. Explain that.
So instead of someone just leasing your properties, you have someone that looks at all the in and outs of your properties, insurance, taxes, depreciation. How's your AppFolio, which is our software property management system, set up, just to better the current processes that we have in place.
I see. Yeah. Okay. So, across the board, we're pretty much the executive assistant or the office assistant that can handle that type of situation. Troy, what you paying that person? You don't have to tell me exact, but ballpark. Give me a range.
My first executive assistant with bonuses made $96,000 in 2011, but the base pay on average is about $70,000 in this market today.
70 grand in Kansas City. What about you, Joe?
Well, mine's part-time and my agent, and she does multiple things. So I'd say in the same range, right in there, 70 to 80.
Yeah. What about you, Casey?
Yeah, mine handles a lot more than just executive assistant stuff, administrative assistants. They're really helping me run the company. Mid-6 figures.
Nice. What about you, Ricardo?
Mine's 55 to 65 with bonuses.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you this. Casey, how are you training your acquisition managers, your VAs, your bird dogs, the people that are bringing you properties? How are you training them and what you telling them?
Pat, I'm going to punt this. You got to ask Troy this or ask Joe or Ricardo on this one, just because right at this exact moment, we don't have a ton of them. And I don't want to give false information because we're pivoting a little bit here and doing a ton of lending. And so we've laid back a little bit there. So
Troy, what you got, Troy?
I mean, OJT, man, this is real estate. We get out and walk it. There's nothing that teaches like doing. I think Casey mentioned a good thing. You can't keep track of a score. You can't keep track of a football game without a score. I don't think you could play the game unless you get in it, right? And so everything that we do in real estate, we try to set up a system. Ultimately, it comes down to people and processes, and that's being out in the field and then trying to perfect those and hold people accountable. I've done more SOPs than anybody, and I just think at the end of the day, you got to get out there and walk it and hold your people's hand and breathe your wisdom into them, because like most of the guys on this call have been in the business for a couple decades, at least a lot of us, and some of you guys have a couple decades compressed into a couple of years. And I think that knowledge of buying houses and walking houses, like Joe's foundations, Pat, all your experience from Hawaii to here, the massive amount of houses Casey's bought in Pittsburgh and Ricardo's buying. I mean, I think that like the amount of transactions condensed is not equal time. So if you can do massive amounts of transactions, walk your people, they can see what you see, and they can hear how you're visualizing things, what you're looking for. The fact that, Joe will never buy an uneven house, which I'm thinking about that. I got a house in Boston I bought, and I walked in, I said, Jesus Christ, this thing's uneven. So I totally get it there. But yeah, I think just walking it with your people and trying to get people out there and training them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's the best way, and I get the most value, and it's the easiest time for me. And I feel like I need to do that with my people, maybe for the first 30 days. And if you ain't catching on after that, man, I got to get rid of you. I can't really have you on the team. Like most people will catch on, either they'll catch on or they won't. And so I kind of agree with you there, Troy. What I'm gonna ask this question to Joe. What bottlenecks are you trying to fix right now when it comes to scaling and just scaling your companies and getting bigger?
So, I mean, to be really honest with you, there's a couple different things. Immediate, I would say that. So I have something that I do every year where around this time of the year, I start kind of hoarding properties and getting them ready. I fix them up, and even if they are ready, I kind of hold back a certain amount of them until the second week of January, second to third week of January. And so right now I'm working through all of those to get those ready for that time of year, because at least what I've experienced in this city, now the Chiefs have changed that a little bit, but most of the time this market fires up after the first of the year, like after that first snow melts or after that first couple weeks goes through, and shit really starts rolling. So that's one of my things. Now, my other bottleneck would be, I'd love to pick some of your guys' ears as far as when it comes to buying and holding property and knowing the right formula. I mean, all my life, I've bought and sold everything that I've had, other than, I have a house with 20 acres out south and in a pond and shit. And then I've got my lake house. But, beyond that, like, I buy and sell everything I have. I've got a house where my father's in it, and I've got a building in Waldo. But like, beyond that, like, I want to build a bigger portfolio. So I would say that that's probably one of my bottlenecks is I'm so addicted to doing the deal that I can't let myself sit there. And if I see a shoebox ranch, I can't fucking hold it, because I can turn around and I can sell that thing and make my 15 to 20 grand real fast, or 10, or whatever the fuck it is. And I can move on. It's just I'm so addicted to that it's hard for me to change my mindset on that. And that's something that I wish I was a little bit better at.
What about with you, Casey? What you got, your biggest bottleneck that you're trying to fix when it comes to scaling and systems?
It's always the people. 100% always the people for me. I think everything else is solvable. When you bring in emotion into the game, it always becomes a challenge, right? So, across all of our businesses, I think we probably have close to 100 full-time employees.
Wow.
And, right, a majority of my work, business development, everything that I'm doing, like, it all bottles back into, like, all right, we've had people problems, and how do we solve our people problems, whether it's hiring, firing, fixing, right? All of the different things that go into managing people, right? Because you can't scale without people. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm a believer in AI. We use AI. I'm a huge believer in systems and processes. But if you want to scale an enterprise-based business, something that you can exit one day, or something that you can exit, whether it's a sale or whether it's just moving up, elevating and delegating and elevating and moving up out of the day-to-day of the organization, you're going to need people. And so, that's it for me. Solving the people problem. Made an offer on something today, another C-suite executive to come into the organization. Got another interview Friday for one of them. And then obviously at the lower levels, we're hiring and firing all the time.
Yeah, you're right, man. The people that is the hardest part, keeping staff, training staff. Man, that is the most frustrating part for sure. Ricardo, what's your biggest bottleneck right now?
Yeah, for sure. For me, same thing, Casey's the people. In fact, we're working on hiring a full-time lawyer / legal counsel to come in. And we were like, hey, what's gonna What's one thing or person we can bring into our company to make sure people pay on time and we reduce our eviction
Oh,
numbers? And we're like, let's hire a lawyer. So
yeah. No, if you
he
ain't,
should be
I was just
onboarding in the
thinking,
next couple of weeks.
you was getting sued or something. Like I was like, man, if you really ain't doing shit until you get sued 3 or 4 times. And
I've
so,
been sued. Don't worry.
Yeah, no shit. No shit.
I love looking at my legal log and all the bullshit that's on there.
oh man, if you ain't been sued 3 or 4 times, you really ain't making no
You ain't doing
noise.
it big.
Right?
Yeah.
You ain't doing right. Um, Troy, let me ask you this: when it comes to your current marketing spend, what you spend in a month on marketing?
You know, we keep it light. I'm probably at like 15 grand a month on average. It'll come up a little bit. If we're doing direct mail, we'll spend more, but we use pretty inexpensive marketing channels, and we scale as we need to. So about 15 grand on average.
That's pretty good. I see you on the social media all the time. You spend about 15 grand. That's pretty good, dude.
Yeah, we
What
spend
about
about
you, Joe? What you spending
On what?
on marketing? Zero.
Zero.
Casey, what about you? Casey, what you spending?
You know, I don't know what our exact number is on direct lead gen for real estate because we're running so many different businesses, man. But I'm in at least on a monthly basis 6 figures in total marketing across all the companies.
All your businesses?
Yeah.
You're 100 deep, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Ricardo? What you got?
Zero.
Zero? Nice.
You guys with the zero spend, I love it. The challenge that you face, right? I guess that I would ask you is, do you ever worry that lead flow will dry up? It sounds like, Joe, you've got such a brand in your market that, you're buying from wholesalers that they're always going to be there.
There is always a fear of market shift and people running out of leads and that kind of thing. But, I've experienced everything from 2008 to 2020. And I mean, when you see both spectrums of that and you see how the flow of leads have come in, I'm fairly confident that it's going to continue to be that way. And I've built up enough assets and enough cash and enough everything that I'm comfortable if we slow down for a bit. It's, that's just kind of the way it is.
Makes sense.
Well, let's transition this to like a little bit of lessons and advice. We're gonna be tying this up here pretty soon. Let's talk about this. Here's a really good question. What's the single most underrated skill for acquisitions? Let's think about the best acquisition guy you got. What's the best skill, Troy, that he's got?
Right now in today's age, I think it's picking up the phone and having a conversation and building a relationship.
Yeah.
Because the new guys I hire, I've got a great guy who's a closer. I'm like, stop texting people, dude. Call them, build the relationship. I know you and I have talked, Joe and I have talked, like the ability to establish a relationship is the most important thing. Bury the hatchet, separate your differences, and realize hey, we're not on this earth forever. But one more thing that I will say is that, and this is something I'm not perfect at yet, and I'm starting to get good at it in my older years. The most important 2 words that I've learned recently is self-discipline. Spending the 45 minutes a day working on yourself is the most important part of the day.
I like that. I like that. What about with you, Casey? Your best sales guy.
Yeah, man, I can't disagree with Troy. Troy nailed that, right? I would separate the two, put them together, whatever you want to do, but pick up the damn phone. Pick up the damn phone, right? Yeah. And then number 2, to his point, relationships. You got to be able to build relationships. This is a
so right, man. I tell my kids all the time, you're not going to sell shit with a text message. Like it's like the biggest thing with this new age growing up. It's like they can't get on the phone, they can't conversate. It's such a tough thing to deal with. For me, man, I even got cities that I'm trying to get permits from, and I'm calling them, and they're not. And I'm like, just get on the phone and talk to me we can figure this whole thing out in 2 minutes and move on and get done. Instead, they want to email 500 emails. It's so frustrating. One tactic that you tell a new investor to master first, Ricardo, a new investor, and you got one thing they need to master, what would that be?
Dude, I keep going back to the construction piece. I just see so many people overpay on labor, materials, job sites. I have investors who I coach from time to time. Some of their flips take 6 to 9 months to get completed when my guys can finish something in 30 days.
Yeah,
So I
I
say
see that.
get someone in your market that knows construction. Go shadow them. Go see how you can
Right.
help them and just, learn that skill.
What about you, Joe? What
I
you
would
got?
say, probably the thing I rest my entire business on is being easy to work with. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, if you nitpick and you ask for things, and when you're already getting a good deal, you're gonna make that relationship with whoever's providing that lead to you, a one-time deal. So I think it's just really important to be easy to work with, and that would say first and foremost for me.
What about you, Troy?
I think what everything boils down to in life is fear, right? And I think that most investors forget about the construction. You're going to learn that. I do agree with Ricardo 100%, but just learning and realizing that we all started scared. We all started not knowing, and just taking that first step of, hey man, I'm going to become a real estate investor, whether I buy, whether I rent, whether whatever, and I'm going to figure it out as I go versus trying to have a perfect strategy. And because once you get past that fear, then you can buy the skyscraper, you can buy the apartment building, you can buy the strip mall. But if you just sit there and think about it and try to come up with the perfect strategy, you're just going to be sitting, and it's 20 years is going to go by and you ain't done nothing.
Right. Casey, you got one?
Yeah, I mean, number one, I would agree with Troy a ton here. Where I say it all the time to anyone that ever wants to listen to me. The two things that get in the way of anything that we want, from a standpoint of where we are today and our goals, is fear and ego. If you can eliminate the idea of fear and you can eliminate the idea of your ego, you can go get whatever it is that you want in life. So I would piggyback him, but mindset. If you can master mindset early on and often, like, this is a long, lonely road as an entrepreneur. And you're going to get punched in the face every day you wake up if you're pushing yourself and you're creating uncomfortability, which is how you grow and develop and become who it is that you want to be. You got to develop the right mindset. If you can master mindset early and often, then that's what's going to create the most amount of success, in my opinion.
For the new investor out there, we're looking at mindset. We're looking at construction. We're looking at being easy to work with. And I'm going to throw one out there just for me, is mastering the after repair value. Like, to me, that's a key, and probably the holy grail of the entire investing situation. Because if your after repair value is wrong, your entire deal is fucked. And so mastering the comps, figuring out comparables and value, to me, is the most important tactic for any new investor that I would say you would want to master first. And that would kind of be where I'm coming from. I've got one last question for you guys. We're going to finish this sentence. You ready? Troy, I'm going to have you go first. In 2025, the investors who win will be the ones who what?
Buy and hold.
I like it. What you got, Joe? Buy and sell?
Exactly. No, I'm gonna say, the ones who are able to adapt and pace themselves. I mean, one of the biggest things right now with this market is you cannot allow yourself to get over leveraged. The guys who have got into this business over the last 5 years, they're in uncharted territory. Us who have been doing this shit for 20 years, this is back to normal. This is feeling more like what it used to be. And so it's just, you have to be prepared for that, and you got to be able to roll through it at a pace that you feel comfortable. And like I said, don't get in over your head.
Yeah. Now, what about you, Casey? The investors who will win will be the ones who what?
Take massive action and learn from everything that they do on a regular basis.
I like it. Ricardo, what you got?
I say those who adapt quickly. With so many moving pieces, interest rates, potential wars, all these things, you just got to jump on it, adapt quickly, and just know your numbers.
Yeah, no fear. And you just got to get in the game sometimes with calculated risk. I kind of agree with that. Man, you guys been awesome. what a good interview. We've had a lot of good questions. I've had so many good answers. I feel like this was a 1 hour show. We're at an hour, 30 minutes. And man, I couldn't even cut it off because you guys was doing so well and like kind of answering all these questions and giving everybody kind of a playbook on, you know, how you find the deals, how you analyze the deals, how you guys are putting in offers, scaling and systems and processes and people and staff. So much good information came out today. I want to kind of touch base on the sponsors. We can get those QR codes back up on the screen. Let's talk about United Real Estate, KC Cash Closings, Real Buy Box. Man, we did a really good job today with a ton of people, tons of knowledge, really good nuggets. There was some things that I learned today. You know what I never do is I never take a backup offer position. That was something that what stuck with me today. So even as I'm doing this show, and I've been doing this for 25 years, I learned something today as well. And so I think that's so smart, dude. I've never done that before. And so I'm going to start doing that. I've taken some nuggets and some things that I've learned today. All we ask is that you guys do business with us. If you guys are in Kansas City and you want to look up Joe Williams, you want to look up Troy Kearns. If you're in Pittsburgh, you want to invest in that market, look up Casey Quinn. Ricardo, where you at now?
Little Rock, Arkansas.
Little Rock, Arkansas. You want to throw some money over there? We got a guy there that's got a full service type system there for you. Man, this is really good interview. You guys listen to some of the top people out there right now that are really closing deals and getting things done. Let's talk about episode 3. We're going to be talking about renovations. Our episode 1, we talked about finance. Episode 2, we kind of talked about finding the properties. In episode 3, we're going to be talking about renovation and rehab and how important that is. And we're going to have some players on here that are doing a lot of homes, a lot of properties, telling us their secrets on how they do a scope of work, how they hire contractors, what they look for in contractors, what they look for in inspections, how they manage material, and you know, that whole process of managing and interviewing crews. And so in November 11th at 7 p.m., you know, we go every second Tuesday of the month. So we're going to come to you hard. We're going to come to you no nonsense, and be on the lookout for November 11th at 7 p.m. We're going to be talking about renovations. I want to thank the guests. I want to thank my friends. I want to thank my boys who've been on here kicking some knowledge, giving up their playbook on what they do and how they do it. I appreciate you guys, and thank you guys for everything you guys done. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.